Some people say that 84 is like one of the best planes they ever flew.
Yeah.
What was your favorite? You like the piece?
Well, see, there were the old 84 was what we called a straight wing, and the 84F was a bent wing, and like an 86. It was a good airplane, but it was a ground-loving machine.
Did you ever fly in formation?
Oh, all the time.
How did you like that?
Oh, fine. Yeah, yeah. But oh yeah, you flew formation most of the time. But like, if you were going out to fire a gunnery, you went out 6 ships and in formation, and you'd always take off in formation.
Some people say that they like flying in formation.
I didn't, but I liked it. I just liked to fly.
So during the Korean War, you were in Japan, and then did you ever see any action?
No.
But you were training people.
I was training people. Yeah, in fact, we're training Japanese, and they're different.
There must have been something after Japanese fighting them in World War II, and now you're training them how to fly.
Yeah, you're training them, checking them out in jets, see. And they had gone up in northern Japan. They were flying T-6s, a prop airplane. Then they came down to us, and when I got there were only 4 of us, and each of us had 1 student. Where we used to flying with 4 students back in the States. And these Japanese are different. When I was flying with aviation cadets and American kids, they kept me on the ball. They were always asking questions. You fly with the Japanese, and I flew with them for a good year, never the first question. I'd ask them, I'd say, please, if you don't understand, ask me. Never.
It's a different culture.
Yeah. So they are an entirely different culture, you bet. And
so did you write letters to keep in touch with your wife at home, or?
Well, she came over there, and yeah, it was 6 months, I guess, before you could come.
You bring the kids?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And our daughter said, that was a 3-year assignment over there.
What town in Japan?
Huh? Oh, we were down on the southern island of Kyushu, and we lived over in Camp Kokura, which was an army base. And then we moved up to Tokyo, and we drove from southern island to Tokyo. It was 800 miles. It took us 5 days. Most of it dirt road.
Did you ever encounter MacArthur or any of the big shots at all?
Oh, lots of them. When we graduated that first class down there of the Japanese, there was 1 American general, and I don't know how many Japs. There was lots. It was a big deal, and I'd never forget. She was sitting there, and some newsreel guy was coming up to her like this, and it was in all the papers. It was a big deal. But then I went up to Tokyo and was given a checkout program to the Far East Air Force headquarters people, because they were all flying C-47s or something, and it was becoming the jet age, so they thought they should be flying jets. So there was a jet program for all these big wheels in the Far East Air Force. But there were only 7 of us there, instructors. And so we did a lot of flying, but we had it was a good assignment.
Did you keep track of your hours?
Oh yeah.
Flying hours?
But yeah.
How many flying hours have you had over your lifetime?
But I never did keep track of it in my log book, but I don't know. I had probably 5,000 hours of jet time.
Then in World War II, how many hours in there do you think?
I remember I had 1,306. Yeah, but see, I actually, I had a lot of fighter time for a guy that got out of flying school in '43. And when I went to this outfit out in California, there were 72 pilots there. I had more fighter time than all but two of them. There was one major and the full colonel that was the commander. But then I flew, that's all I did, where most of the other guys had other jobs.
I interviewed Carroll Shelby, the guy that did, Carroll Shelby, and he was a trainer.
Oh, was he?
Down there, you probably were down there near him at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what he did during the war.
Yeah.
Now, after Korea, what'd you do? After Korean War was over, what'd you do?
Well, when the Korean, let me see, I came back to the States. I was flying in a ferrying outfit, and I was flying mostly F-84s, and a lot of difference. I was stationed at there in Mobile, Dover, Delaware. And the Air Force was pretty good. They'd give you a choice of where you wanted to go when you were going to be transferred. So I asked for the Northwest, the Southwest, and the West. I got the west coast of Delaware Bay, Dover, Delaware. So then the next time I went through a 9 months maintenance officer school, and I asked for the Northwest, the Southwest, and the West. I got Westover, Massachusetts. So then when
Did your wife and kids go with you the whole time then?
Oh yes.
So they became like, they call them Army brats, but
Yes.
they were Air Force brats.
Yeah.
How many children did you have?
Three
kids.
Two boys and a girl.
They say that kids that are brought up that way become very outgoing because you have to learn to adapt, right?
Yeah.
Both of my boys are Vietnam vets. One of them has a Purple Heart from there. But we weren't over there at the same time. I was over before either one of them. But then when we came back from, we spent 2 years in Burma. If you know where Burma is, and there were only 3 of us in the Air Force over there. And I was the aircraft maintenance advisor to the Burma Air Force. That was a good job.
What kind of planes were those?
They had T-33s, only they were armed. They called them AT-33s and HH helicopters, HH-43 helicopters. And then...
So did you have any time in helicopters?
Did what?
Did you fly helicopters at all?
No, never did. I was up a couple of times, but no, not really.
So you were training maintenance at that time?
Yeah. So then when we came back from there, we thought, well, we'll maybe spend the last 2 years out in the Northeast because our daughter lived in Massachusetts and we were going to come back to Oregon. So I asked for the Northeast. I got Travis, California. Like I say, yeah. But then from there I went to Vietnam and I retired and I came back from there. I was in aircraft maintenance. I had been grounded. They'd found something wrong with my heart and had grounded me.
That must have been tough for you.
Yeah, so when I was over there, I wasn't flying at all.
Now, do you remember Cuban Missile Crisis?
The what?
Cuban Missile Crisis. Do you remember that?
Oh, sure. The Cuban thing? Well, in fact, I tell you, I was in Dover. I was at Westover, Massachusetts. And all of a sudden, we had what they called a twin-engine cargo plane in our base flight there. And these planes had come in from southern Florida. A jet would land there, and they'd unload the film and stuff, and we had to take it over to Rochester, New York. And boy, that was a red hot deal, and our bombers were all on alert. And we had, when I was in that 99th Bomb Wing, we had 47 B-52s. And I was what they called job control officer, and we were in charge of all the maintenance on them.
So you knew about the 52s as well.
8 engines on that sucker, but I never flew. I was up a couple of times in them, but I never flew them. I said, I'm a fighter pilot. I'm not a bomber pilot.
Yeah, I just interviewed a guy in Salt Lake City who was a jet fighter pilot, and then they forced him to go to B-52s, and then he went to cargo planes. And
Yeah.
once you're a fighter pilot, it's really tough to do that.
Yeah, so that, yeah.
So Vietnam, what did you do over there? How did that work? Vietnam.
Oh, in Vietnam, I was in what they call with attack recon unit. We had RF 4Cs and RF 101s, and it was a photo reconnaissance wing at Ton Sanut right there at Saigon.
What year were you there?
I went over there in 50. Let's see. I went over there in 68 and came back in 69. Yeah.
You didn't take the family with you on that one?
You know, and I retired when I came back from there.
No, I didn't think so. No. Where were you stationed in Vietnam?
Right there, Ton Sanut, right at Saigon.
And your job was there?
I was maintenance control officers, so we were in charge of all the maintenance on all those airplanes.
Any kind of close calls when you're over there?
No.
And so after that, you decided to retire?
Yep.
How many years were you in?
Well, counting the reserve time, I had 28. I was in a little over 20 active.